So this is the fourth video for assignment number 5, and in this one, in the last one, we covered kind of setting up and adding text to our wall section. The one thing that we forgot to do was to add some materials and components to the roof deck. We can see right here. Okay, and before we just did the structural part of that, which was the steel deck, and also one component, the rigid insulation, which was not. So we're going to go into our one that we did here, R30 steel deck, and we're going to edit that. And let's just take a look at it. We're in the view. You can see all it is right now is just the steel deck and then the insulation on top. And of course, in my lecture, I talked about a variety of different roofing methods for flat roofs. But this is the one that we're going to use, and you'll notice that it has a steel deck here, okay, and then it has rigid insulation, and then there's a decking or a sheathing material, and this particular manufacturer recommends that you put this deck on top of the your insulation, because they're using, I think, polyurethane, which is not as stiff or rigid as polyisocyanate. But so you can't walk on it. So, once again, different manufacturers have different procedures. Whatever roofing system you're going to use, make sure you follow the manufacturer's recommendations so that they'll warranty the roof. If we zoom in here on this, you'll see also this particular insulation encourage you to put a decking material or a sheathing material right here, plywood, then the insulation, and then the sheathing on another set of sheathing on top. Once again, that's just in case this insulation and keep the construction people from breaking or stepping through it when they're working. And then the last layer that they show is, in this case, it's PVC, polyvinyl chloride. The other type of is thought I had it in here. You'll see another method right here where this has got a vapor barrier in here. We're going to put the vapor barrier into the insulation, and we're going to put decking up here instead of just going straight with the waterproofing membrane. So let's get started and do this. So now we're back to our family in Revit, and we're going to duplicate this. And before it was deck only, okay. I've already got something named steel deck. So R30 3-inch steel deck, I'll add something to it, PVC, or assuming that we're using a PVC material for it. So in edit here, we're going to go in and add those additional components that we were talking about. The one we want here is is at the bottom of the metal deck. So we're going to insert and we're going to move that. We'll keep it right here outside the core boundary. And this is going to be a membrane layer. Okay, it's going to be basically a moisture vapor barrier that should be in our list of materials here. Let's see if moisture works. Vapor barriers, damp proofing, vapor retarder. Yeah, that's what we want right there. Okay, and we'll say okay to that. And so now we have our vapor barrier in there, right below the metal deck. We want it right above the metal deck. I'm sorry, we want it between the insulation and the metal deck. So we're going to move it up. Boom, boom, and we'll just slide it in there. The next thing we're going to add is a sheathing on top of this. So I'm going to go in and insert another one, and in this case this is going to be a substrate. It's really, yeah, it should be a substrate, and we're going to once again, and we'll just call this plywood. So we'll just use plywood sheathing here. And so now we have plywood sheathing, which should be up above the rigid insulation. So I'm going to move it up. So now, and it should be outside the core boundary too. Okay. And it's going to be, we'll say, I don't know, 3/4 inches. We'll make it pretty thick stuff. Oops, got a double inch mark in there. Okay, so now we have our substrate, and the last thing we need is our waterproofing membrane. So I'm going to insert this, and once again, that's a substrate. This is going to be a finish. Okay, and we're going to come in here and see if we can find a material to finish that with. So PVC, let's see, roofing. So let's try roofing and see what roofing materials we get. Okay. Oh, and we have EPDM, which is another plastic type of roofing. There's TPO, EPDM, and PVC are all used as roofing materials. So we'll just go ahead and this will be EPDM instead of PVC because we got that material there. The key is that we have this waterproofing membrane that's going to go up there. Exactly what it is not critical. And of course, this is probably going to be somewhere around 1/16 of an inch. So we'll just add 1/16 of an inch so we can kind of see it right there. So we got our roofing, we got our protective sheathing here to protect people walking on our insulation, and then we have right here a vapor barrier, even though it's tiny and we can't see it. I don't know if I can even zoom in here and see it. No, not really. But anyway, so our vapor barrier is there at least, and then structural. And so now we're ready to go and correct our roof. So we're going to say okay to that, and then we're going to say, well, we probably ought to rename this now that it's EPDM. Okay. EPDM instead of PVC. We're going to say okay to that. And now you can see if I just select this and we select our EPDM, notice that automatically all of our materials are changed. Okay. There's our steel deck. We now have our sheathing in there with our EPDM rubber. So what I did is I discovered that right here, I added that 3/4 inch decking to that, which pushed the whole thing down 3/4 from the roof level, because this was placed at the top of the roof as the constraint. I probably should have put it at the top of the beam, put in a level in here and at the top of the beam, and that way it would have adjusted itself. But what I need to do is offset this 3/4 inches because of I added 3/4 inches to the depth of the whole roof. And so let's go in here, and I'm just going to add it as a height offset right there, 3/4 inches. And you see that it moved it up, and now my deck is sitting on the top of my beams and my girder right here and in the top of my column. And so everything is good now. And then what I need to come in is add the text in here to label this. There's no sense in you watching me do this. So I'm going to just go offline real quickly and add the 3 components that we added into the list, and then you can do that. So now I'm back, and all I did here was I went in and I selected one of the text, and I right-clicked and said create a similar, and that way it would pick the same text. And then I'm just going to move this in. And so let's move the EPDM roofing. Oh, I forgot to add the sheathing in here too. So I'm going to just line that up and point down here to the EPDM. And then I'm going to add in here vapor barrier. So I'm going to drop that down, line it up with these others. So I'm just going, once again, create similar. Just right click, create similar, and then I'm just going to add it in right up here. And we said 3/4 inch plywood. And once again, since it's on the roof, we're going to call it decking. And then we're going to, this is going to be in between. Let's see if I can get a hold of that. There we go. And I'm going to use the nudge. I'm just using the up arrow to kind of nudge that into place. 3, and then I'm going to align that with that, and align this down here with that. So yeah, I'm pointing at the decking there, and then this is. So now we have 3/4 inch decking, the EPDM roofing, the rigid insulation, the composite metal decking, and then the vapor barrier right here. I would probably move that up. So now my section is ready to go to print. And in the next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a sheet. Actually, I've already created a sheet for you, but how to add drawings to a sheet and print out.